Welcome to Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. And DG, I feel like we've done too many of these hard episodes already. We
have, man. 2020 has not started off greatly. But all we can hope for and wish for that it ends better and gets better halfway through the year. But first 3 months have been a struggle.
They have been. As you guys continue to watch or listen to this episode, you will see more of our interview with myself and Danny, but there's also an interview that we recorded earlier this week with Avery Bradley before the league went under suspension. And so because of that, we also brought in Shams Charania, a senior inside NBA reporter for Stadium Network as well as The Athletic. And before we get to that and Avery Bradley's piece, Danny, I wanted to speak with you about everything that's happening so far and how you've been able to ingest the news.
I mean, with so many things that have happened this year and over the years, not much has come to a shock to me, but this is obviously a shock to anyone. Not just mentally, emotionally, but culturally, it's just a culture shock to have not basketball, but a lot of sports being shut down with the drop of a hat. It's happened so quickly, so fast. I was having lunch with my dad. I think you were there too. We were talking about it. Obviously talking the severity of the situation and how some people are not taking it serious, but also how we thought it might not be as serious. But when they shut down leagues, you start to realize how serious and how real it is. It seems like a nightmare or something from a movie, but you know, it is what it is today, and we have to adapt and adjust to it. So taking it, step by step, day by day, taking the meetings, the phone calls, trying to get updates from the team. They're doing a great job of informing us what's going on. So we find out Monday more updates, but we know what we're capable or able to do individually. Can't do any group stuff, but we need to be in our cities and try to be quarantined as best we possibly can, stay low key, and stay professional about it, taking care of your bodies and still being ready for if that we do turn a corner where things go for the better and we get back the season sooner than we expect. But right now they have a 30 days kind of a lockout, so we have to prepare for that.
One of the things that sports usually does for a lot of us, it helps us distract ourselves from real world problems.
For sure.
Debt that you have, bad relationship that you have, world crisis.
Yeah.
In this instance, it is a part of that. It's not the distraction. It's embedded within all of this pandemonium.
Yeah.
And you're not able, as an entertainer, as a basketball entertainer rather yet, to provide that outlet. Have you ever thought about the service that you have for the fans in terms of helping them get away from the nonsense of the world?
You don't think about it as much until you said, well, it's gone. As right now, you see a lot of people are kind of stuck. They don't know what to do. A lot of people, and it might be for the better. You got to look at both sides. We might be able to take care of some people's gambling issues or that type of thing. But people rely on us to escape from the real world. When they get out of work and they're 9 to 5, they want to go home and grab a beer or go to a bar and watch a game and relax. They're not able to do that now anymore, so they have to face their issues and not have as many outlets. And for us, we don't have the outlets we usually have either. It's a little different for us. But so you don't really notice those things, and you don't really notice the real world things until it's brought to you. And that's one thing I respected and loved about Pop. He did a great job of letting us know, this is just basketball. And we're always stuck in our little bubble and only focus on the things that affect us in the basketball world when, there's things going on in other countries that are crazy. And it's also good to have friends from other countries. Jed and a lot of others, people that I know that are close, that are from other places, enlightened me or brought light to a lot of things that I wouldn't normally understand or look at as important because I'm in the U.S. or it doesn't affect me, but it affects people around you, your friends, family, or other people's friends and families, and eventually it comes to your forefront, which this has come to the U.S. and it's affected us, and not just in the world, but not just the basketball world, but the whole world. So you start to appreciate it more, and you start to understand the importance or important things of life. And how just the sports are obviously just fun, but they're also distraction. But you understand how, I guess, naive and as a kid, even not as a kid, but how I didn't really understand anything when I was, in college or even a couple years out of college of, what's really important, what's going on, and I had to take the severity of things going around the world seriously.
You know, the one thing about the Rudy Gobert incident, and I know there was definitely a population of people that just saw it as a funny gesture or just thought he was acting foolish, but didn't take it seriously until he eventually became diagnosed with the coronavirus. I think, as bad as it looked at the time, I think between him and Tom Hanks having that diagnosis, it really put a lot of people's antennas up.
For sure.
And I know there were people, one of my friends was attempting to go to Boston, and then that type of news really halted things. And he might have done a wealth of service with that one miscue.
For sure. It was going to happen eventually. Whether it happened that way, obviously, the way it happened to him, nobody wants it to happen that way, where it looks silly and foolish. And obviously, he didn't mean to happen or do any harm or mean to spread anything. But I said it was a wake-up call. And a lot of times we need that wake-up call to take something serious. I said we don't take it serious until it's at our forefront. And a lot of times we always see it's in other countries, they're shutting down. We're like, oh, it's never going to touch us because we don't have to worry about it. Oh, in Italy, or soccer, they're playing. But we're fine. We're in the U.S., we're cool, we're impenetrable, so until a guy like Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell or Tom Hanks and his wife, then you're like, oh, it's here, it's affecting us, and we need to take this serious. So, the league is taking the proper steps of helping us, take it serious, but I think everybody was pretty much, very cautious of what was going on, even more cautious after seeing people, that are right, here in the U.S. or in the basketball world or, somebody, they might know people close to them that have it. Hopefully or luckily, not a lot of people have passed because of it. They're saying certain age brackets, but hopefully those people recover and hopefully we find a cure for the people who are struggling with it. And hopefully, so we can get this thing out as quick as it came and get back to regularly scheduled programming. Coming up next on Inside the Green Room, checks might not be coming in as often or frequent or at all if things are lost or things change. We don't know for the worst.
So you're working out still, you're still getting in shape. I mean, you're staying in shape. But you haven't been through anything like this, none of us have.
No.
But you've been through the lockout before. How does that period in your life help you prepare for whatever it is that might happen here?
Well, so just not having basketball around like the way you normally have it, not be able to play games. Also, the fact of figuring out what to do outside of basketball and saving your money. The lockout's prepared, I would hope, a lot of guys for this moment because at that time they're like, oh, we're ready for it, we're prepared for it. But when it came, a lot of guys weren't prepared for it. And now, let's say, we didn't know this was coming as a sudden, obviously. But during this time, I think guys will use this time a little bit wiser to figure out what they need to do because they know basketball's stopping. And so checks might not be coming in as often or frequent or at all if things are lost or things change. We don't know for the worst. So we have to figure that out. But the lockouts prepared me to be able to figure out things, and also said on the money side, the financial side of it, how to monitor the right, correct way without having to struggle or worry about, if the next check's coming in tomorrow or not. Figuring out other ways of I guess revenue or business things that you can get into besides sports.
Yep. Our aspirations are to do more of these because we have the opportunity as long as we use the proper precautions, which we will.
For sure. Well, I'd love to do more of these. I hope that we don't. I hope that we get back to basketball.
Yeah.
I hope we get back to all sports and that people can continue to live their normal lives and have those normal distractions to be able to sit down and watch us entertain. But as of right now, so we're waiting for updates and we have about a 30-day hiatus. And during that time, so we'll have to figure it out and be safe, stay home, stay close to your families, take care of each other. And continue to be clean and precautious with not catching anything.
The NCAA might allow some athletes, might be more spring athletes than winter athletes, to get another year of eligibility. What would you advise your brother? Do you think he should throw his name into the draft? Do you think he should go for that 5th year? What would you tell him to do?
I think that all depends. I think he's definitely mature enough, but if he can get another year of eligibility, that's great to have that option. Obviously, we weigh out the options and see. I think he would obviously test the waters and be able to play summer league and see where that goes. And if he has a year eligibility, then go back, continue to play as much college basketball as you can, and try to get another year in the NCAA tournament if you can. But ultimately, that's his decision. And I said he's a grown adult now, and I think either way, I think he'll be okay and figure out what he wants to do next for his future. And I think he can still play basketball, after college.
You know, my thought does that, and obviously your brother's an athlete, so I think about him a lot in this equation. But I also think about all of the kids in college who don't go to get graduation anymore.
Yeah.
That is, I look back and it's almost 10 years for me.
Yeah.
And I was about to go to my 10-year reunion because I didn't go to 5-year. I was like, I'm going to 10-year.
Okay.
I'm not going now. And you're just like, wow, these are moments that are robbed from these kids that, you'll live for a lifetime. And it's kind of saddening. Obviously, you got to take care of people's health.
It is, man.
But there are life moments that they're missing out on that's just really unfortunate. And this coronavirus thing really sucks.
Yes, and I think that's probably the biggest reason I would tell them to go back, to be able to get that experience. Just the whole the classic ending you need experience, to close that chapter, close that book, end the movie the right way, whether it's, walking down and getting your degree, be able to throw your hat,
You don't get that.
Take your pictures
you don't get that
with your
option
gown
often.
on, so that experience, you need that. It's just like, as much as people hate going to prom, but it's a picture, it's an experience that you'll never forget and you'll always look at in your house. Say, I remember prom, we did this and that. It's something you have to do, and graduating is something I feel like he has to do.
Yeah, you gotta, some way or another, they're gonna have to make up for that ceremony. I hope they can. So now you have a wealth of time. Maybe you'll advise your brother during the time. You'll spend some time with the dogs.
Yeah.
But you have a wealth of time on your hand now.
Well, we don't know that yet. So we give updates
That's true.
Monday. We have
But at least 30 days.
We have a decent amount of time as of right now, as what we know.
Okay. Now, I've been telling you this since our Dwight Howard episode, I believe.
Okay.
Are you going to watch The Boys or not?
You told me to watch The Boys, and I actually tried to watch The Boys last night. It's not on Netflix, so it's not as easy accessible as everything else is.
What, you need me to give you my login?
I will take your login. I may take someone else's login, but for me to log in or get a new, app or network or new subscription for one show, you're asking a lot, bro.
Well, no. See, you start with The Boys, but then there's Hunters that came out on it as well. There's also, you ever seen Animal Kingdom?
No.
See, listen, man, don't.
Amazon Prime is cool, man, but I like my HBO, my Netflix, USA. I have Hulu. We have a whole bunch of. Now we're adding another one. We already did Disney for a little short.
Disney Plus, yeah.
Disney Plus, and now you're telling me I could jump on Amazon Prime. There's so many subscriptions, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
I'll look into it. And I'll circle back.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you're gonna answer this question, but I kind of hope you do.
Okay.
Maybe. So you know how you were just mentioning usernames and logins?
Yes.
So I think when you did the Zach Lowe podcast, he asked you for your hotel name, kind of going into the secret
my alias
things. So, but can you tell me what it is now that?
No.
But didn't you alter it?
No, I have not changed it.
So I can't get the hotel name.
You can't get the alias. Nope. I mean, I have.
This is why we should have had a pre-production.
Yeah, it's all good. No, it's all good. No alias. It's not an alias if everybody knows it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, DG. Time to step away from here. Hope you guys enjoy our interview with Shams Charania. Then after that, we will have our conversation with Avery Bradley, or our pre-recorded interview with Avery Bradley. Before we go to that, though, in TV, this thing we call a tease?
Yes, teaser.
Yeah, tease them about Avery Bradley.
What's the teaser? What we have to come?
Yeah, just say Avery Bradley did this, did that.
Well,
he broke down what about, we got
is great,
a tease.
Man. I'll give you a little teaser.
Can I give you a sample?
Avery Bradley, man, I can't say enough good things about the guy. Very well spoken. Has a family of 3, great father, husband.
That's not a tease.
Speaks on his life outside of basketball, his life growing up in Tacoma, Washington.
DG,
and
a tease is something that makes people grab a bag of popcorn.
Yeah, I was getting there. Coming up next on Inside the Green Room.
They had a call last night with GMs and presidents where Adam Silver basically made clear we're looking at least 30-day shutdown.
Welcome back to Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. We are very happy to have NBA insider from the Stadium Network and The Athletic, Shams Charania, with us. Shams, you broke down what happened with the league over the past couple of days. You broke the story of the league being suspended. Then you also broke the news as it pertains to Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell being diagnosed with the coronavirus. What's the latest update that you could provide for us as it pertains to the league trying to move forward following Adam Silver's Thursday press release?
Yeah, Harrison, Danny, great joining you guys. This has been a lot of meetings between league officials, Adam Silver holding a lot of calls with other owners, other team governors, other GMs, presidents. And, they had a call last night with GMs and presidents where Adam Silver basically made clear we're looking at least 30-day shutdown. And they came out with policies that were also given to teams, such as they want players to stay in their market. They want players to stay quarantined as much as possible. They want these guys not to be working out in group settings. I think players can go in, as Danny can attest, players can go in now for individual work, but between now and Monday, no group workout regimen at all. And I know Monday is going to be a very, very critical day as far as reassessing where teams and players can go. Can players start to have group workouts? Should players stay at home? Should players have an extended time off? I think a lot will become determined Monday. I've had some teams tell me, potentially Monday, could they just shut their facility down for good? I think a lot of things will come into play starting Monday. But right now, I think the team, the league, is just in an information gathering stage. Adam Silver had another, kind of call with his own employees at the league office today, a town hall with his league office where he made it clear we're looking at least 30 days. There are owners that believe it could extend even to 45 to 60 days. We just don't know right now. And so Adam Silver wants to play out the remaining 82-game season, but, circumstances may not allow for that. Right now, they don't have, available testing for everyone. I think that it's very case by case, and the other night, in the case of those Utah Jazz players, was a very specific case. You had Oklahoma City's first case of coronavirus, and it came from players, and it was a very isolated situation. So the health force of that city made it a priority to make sure that those guys were tested. The 58 Jazz players, personnel, traveling party, et cetera, that those people were all tested. And obviously Donovan Mitchell was the one that came up as positive. And so I think that it's a very case by case. Now in 2 weeks, if somehow America comes up with a policy that it becomes easier for testing, I think that, I think it should be mandated. I think that that's definitely the wisest move, but there hasn't been a mandate as of yet for the NBA to go down the road of every player getting testing before resuming play.
As the league and the owners continue to evaluate when the league should start back up, obviously there's a mountain to climb before they consider that. I'm sure the financial impact of what's happened here has to play a role in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, health is the most important thing, but obviously finances do matter. Maybe they don't matter now, but they will matter later in the future. How are the teams responding to the overall loss that could be seen from this event?
I think it's just an acceptance period, Harrison. I think it's just an acceptance that, I think America as a whole, the NBA, all these other major leagues, the NCAA, by canceling, March Madness. We're looking at, canceling March Madness. Danny's played in a lot of big moments in college. He knows, this is a big time economical shift. This is a time that we haven't seen. It's unprecedented in America. And so the NBA is just sticker on that board. And I think that the NBA is going to have, they're going to suffer some consequences financially. And I think NBA teams are accepting that. And I know the priority that Adam Silver's made clear to owners is we want to make sure everything can get back on track. The full 82 games can be played. Fans can come to attendance. The finals can be played as normal. But again, this is all fluid. It's all up in the air. And I think you're right. I think this is probably the last thing that people want to talk about. As far as even the players that are being impacted right now, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. they're going to have to be playing together at some point here at some point, whether it's 2, 3, a month from now, 2 months from now, 5 months from now, how will their relationship be? And to me, that shouldn't even be the question. We're talking about health.
What is the league, if not the league, teams, organizations doing to help, or I guess help make the adjustment easier for the staff at arenas and I guess not really, I don't know how to say this, but they're not really on staff with the team.
But they're just arena workers.
Yeah, the arena workers. What are they doing to help them or make the adjustment for them and figure out how to take care of these people?
Yeah, almost all teams I've talked to over the last 24 hours have said that they're trying to come up with some plan to make sure that those arena workers, those hourly waged people are being taken care of. And you've seen players come out themselves before their teams have, in Kevin Love, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Zion Williamson, Blake Griffin. These guys have come out and said, we will take the onus. We'll pay for our team staff, arena staff. And I think that goes a long way. Obviously it takes more than that. I think owners need to step up. Mark Cuban, obviously did a big, it was a big job by him getting way out ahead of this narrative, this curve, and getting it out there that he will be the first owner to help his arena staff. And many owners have followed suit. Dan Gilbert, the owners in Atlanta, Ted Leonsis in Washington. So you're seeing more and more teams start following suit, and more executives I've spoken to have talked to their owners about continuing that trend.
Now, in terms of pay for the players, that may be changed, right? If we miss those 20 games of the regular season, correct? And
yeah.
Go ahead.
So the NBA the NBA Players Union had a call with agents today, and it was made known that the NBA and the Players Union would be signing an agreement to enter a moratorium. So essentially, what players and teams have to go through the lockout. Except now, players, teams, they're all allowed to have dialogue. Agents are still allowed to have dialogue, but there will be essentially a moratorium period, as there would be in a lockout. And so there's no trades, no player options. So this extends into July, which I mean, at this point, it's not unforeseen. If it doesn't extend in July, allowing players, they don't have to make any player option decisions, team option decisions, non-guaranteed contracts, 10 days. Everything is essentially on pause. And contracts on the 15th, on Sunday, I believe, will pay out in full. The big question will be the 30th or April 1st. Dan, you probably know which pay stub that is. But, that's the big unknown now that I think the NBA and the Players Union are trying to figure out over the next couple of days. Will that paycheck go out? I think the tenor among a lot of agents, a lot of teams, are that it will. But, I mean, there is an option there for teams to start withholding contracts until the return to play.
Is there a latest date possible that the league is willing to take the season up till? I know there's been conversations about the league potentially entertaining pushing the league calendar back further into the late fall or closer to Christmas or things of that nature. How late can the league, or is a league willing to embrace pushing back this season in respect to the 2020-2021 season?
So as far as the 2020-21 season, I've heard a couple dates. The two that go into mind are like Thanksgiving week and Christmas week. And so, that just lets you know that the NBA is bracing for the pushback of the season, which would then push the next season back. So I would look at least next season beginning, in November sometime, mid to late November at the earliest.
Praying for those guys to get, healthy, Rudy and Donovan, get back safe, and all those other families affected. And hopefully this thing is not something that will drag out, and that we can get everything back, to regularly scheduled programming. So thank you for your time, man. Really appreciate you joining us and sharing what you got.
Yep. DG, Harrison, I appreciate the time, guys. Be safe. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you. We'll be back with more Inside the Green Room. You'll be hearing a pre-recorded interview that we did with Avery Bradley, which came off a pretty stellar performance over this past month or so, Danny, particularly his matchup against the Los Angeles Clippers. So stay tuned for that with more Inside Green Room with Danny Green.
Coming up next on Inside the Green Room.
I was pretty nervous once I signed to have a chance to play with Danny, LeBron, AD, with their experience and their talent level. I was just nervous that I wouldn't, play up to be able to play up to their level, and I knew there was a little less room for mistakes.
I have a number of questions that I do want to ask you about your experience with Boston. Obviously, you being with the Lakers now, but in terms of you being with the Lakers, it's been a hectic year. Oh, well, not hectic year, but it's been a turnaround from last year, rather yet, playing with the Clippers last year. Could you envision the role and the performance that you've had so far with this team, this Laker team now?
At the time, no, I was pretty nervous once I signed to have a chance to play with Danny, LeBron, AD, with their experience and their talent level. I was just nervous that I wouldn't, play up to be able to play up to their level, and I knew there was a little less room for mistakes. I had a chance to play with a lot of great players earlier in my career, and that's a lot of pressure, man. People don't understand that. That's a lot of anxiety every single day, practice, game, to be able to perform at a high level on a consistent basis. And I wasn't sure if I could be able to, do that again every single game, every single day. And I wanted to push myself. And I feel like my wife and myself, we prayed about it. And she was like, Avery, like, this is a situation you want to be in. This is what'll help you reach your full potential as a player and as a person. And I felt like this was the perfect situation for me. Once it came available, I was like, man, I can do this.
And I'm glad he brought that up. It's a strange thing. Well, not a strange thing, but it's just a rare thing. A lot of things, people don't think about that in that aspect or that perspective. And I think that's why our team is so good now, because of the standard that you feel you have to bring to the table or exceed, or, when you sign with a team like that or you're playing alongside guys, and I'm sure AD and Bron, the same, they like, all right, I have to, this is how I have to play. AD, I have to bring it every night because Bron's bring it every night. AD's like, have to bring, and we, the rope, we have to make it easier for them. So every night we can't, slack off. We can't have any lapses because of the expectations and the standard that these guys set, whether you're a veteran or not, rookie or not. He said just every night there is pressure. People don't think about those types of pressures. But a lot of times we make it easier on each other when we're just working hard and actually communicating and actually, letting each other, encouraging each other and letting each other know, like, it's okay. We all make mistakes. We all lose games. We all make these things happen. But the fact that everybody has that same mindset and same attitude toward the game and motivated to try to uplift their teams, but also, not have any lapses, but, not fill the void, but bring their A game every night and not let anybody down, I think is a great start, to any game or any team or roster, with just the attitude and the mental side of it.
And let me ask you a question. You were a rookie with LeBron in Cleveland.
Yes.
And now you're a vet, a two-time champ playing with him now. What's the difference, first of all, in him between then and now, and obviously between you then and now?
Everything is different, but also kind of the same. He's the same guy. He's a character. You know him, and he's still a big clown. He likes to joke around and goof around a lot. But he knows when it's time to take it serious and be serious and hold guys to a standard. He knows how to win, what it takes to win. Right. The 50-50 plays, the execution, just the good habits that you need to build, the games you need to win, the quarters, the possessions that that matter. Obviously,
what was different though?
We were both young. I was young. I didn't really know much then. I was a rookie, so I wasn't really playing at all. I was just learning every day. I was on the sideline lifting weights, shooting work, doing my individual work, waiting for my opportunity to come and just being a sponge. He had Shaq there. He wasn't as big of a leader. He always had a voice, but he wasn't as big of a leader and knew how to lead as much then. Shaq obviously tried to teach him and talk to him and tell him some things. And he had other veterans around him. It was his team, but it wasn't like how it is now, how vocal he is and how much leadership and every timeout and telling guys where to go, where he wants people to be. So that sense, it's different.
We used to hate seeing this dude because the number one thing with Cleveland, y'all won 66 games or something like that. but their thing, they were like blowing teams out. But then like when the blowout happened, it'd be Danny Green time to start dancing on the sideline. Yeah, here we go again. And they played that song. What was the song they played?
The jump around song. That was Carolina thing they played. They played different music, but
like no, Cleveland had this song they played.
But
it's like some '90s song.
They wouldn't say make me, but most of the time, yeah, they would make me because I wasn't playing. And
it was man.
Like, look, we need you to, you know what I'm saying? And I'd have to jump in, and then the front office would call me, you can't be doing what those other guys are doing. But Shaq would make me do a lot of crazy stuff sometimes, man. I'm just like, I have to do.
You play with Shaq too, right?
I play with Shaq.
Yeah, we had Shaq in Phoenix.
I'm
telling you,
stuff, man.
They say you can't do this, and then Shaq be like, if you don't do this,
I'm like, look, I can listen to him or you. I think I'm gonna listen to him.
He's the number one prankster and number one-upsman. Like if you try to get back at him, oh man, you just better off just taking the L because he's gonna one-up you by 100 times.
You got an example?
Yeah.
That's good for air?
I'm gonna clean it up. So he was messing with Lou Amundsen all season long. Lou Amundsen lived real close to the arena where we have a practice facility in the arena. So he'd ride his bike. So they start taking Lou's bike and hiding it. They hide it I'm talking about in the arena. One day it's in the 300 section. One day it's like in the security office. And like he'd come back, he got to look for his bike. So the second to last day, and I told Lou, you messed up, man. The second to last day, he had Shaq's car taken, filled with like styrofoam peanuts and put back. And Shaq was filming a documentary at the time. So they were following him. He opened the door. The peanuts come out. And I was like, yo, you should have done that on the last day so you never see him again. The next day, Shaq showed up at 6 in the morning. And when I tell you he messed with every one of Lou Amundsen's possessions, it's not clear for air what he did, but I'm gonna tell you right now, he did things that Matt Barnes is on the team. He had to stop Shaq, like, man, you can't do that, man. Like, that's not right.
Everything in his locker was missing somewhere, huh?
I'm gonna tell you off air, man. He messed with this stuff and put it back. That's I know. At 6 in the morning, you know how it is. Like he was the first person in there. He was there before the trainers, like waiting.
Last day.
Last day.
Ready
last
to make it happen.
Season day. Yeah.
One team that Shaq did not play for, the Clippers. Clippers matchup just happened. You guys have now gotten your first win of the season against them. Avery, what did you learn about the potential that you guys showed in that matchup?
Well, I can't say in the first two meetings. I feel like we didn't play to our potential. In the last game, I feel like we were just a much better team. We knew we were better than what we played the two previous games, and we knew we had room for improvement. And we made that room, and we still have much more room for improvement. But we just came out with the mindset to be tougher, the tougher team, the team that was going to be able to execute, team that was going to be able to fight through the adversity and be able to respond throughout the entire game. And I feel like we did a great job doing that. And our leaders at the end of the game, they led us, man. I mean, the way LeBron and AD were able to play in the fourth quarter, that's the way you always want your superstars to be able to finish a game. And it was just amazing, man. It's amazing to see LeBron be able to play at this level every single year.
Coming up next on Inside the Green Room.
I don't know what happened, but all I know is that Rajon, he stands up for himself and for his teammates. And if there was something said, please believe Rajon's going to stand up for it.
Speaking of defense, speaking of LeBron, I had an opportunity to speak to Patrick Beverley of the Clippers.
You did.
And, as guards, there's times in the game where LeBron tries to target you. He forces a switch, and he hopes that you could he hopes to take advantage of the matchup. I tried to ask Mr. Beverley about guarding LeBron in that potential matchup. I'm sure you guys have seen the clip.
Can you describe the challenge it is defensively when LeBron...
No challenge.
But particularly the end of the game...
No challenge.
Can you describe what it's like as a defender to when he tries to force the switches with the guards?
I'll just let y'all go.
Yo, before y'all answer the question, let me just say this. I wasn't in the locker room when that happened. I was cleared out. We were at Katsuya, and one of the ESPN reporters, Youngmasuk, was supposed to join us. And I'm like, man, where is he at? He's like, oh, man, I got to write this story. I said, what happened? Some dude asked Patrick Beverley. So they were all the reporters were complaining because they were done. He had kind of said you guys were the better team that day, and he kind of did the usual stuff, and we would have been done. He said somebody had to ask that question, which you knew Patrick Beverley because that's just the kind of guy he is. He's never gonna yield an inch. He's gonna say no challenge at all. And so I was like, yo, who was it? Who was like the kid in school, like, Miss Clapper, didn't you say we were supposed to have a pop quiz today? Like, gonna ask the last question of the day.
I was really curious. I really wanted to know what goes through your head. And I recognize Patrick Beverley, as you're saying, he got offended by the word challenge.
Oh, man.
So I tried to rephrase it to say, can you just describe the situation? And that's when he said, not hard at all. And so I'm curious, how much of a challenge is it to guard LeBron when he targets you on the screen?
I repeat what I was saying. He does everything on the floor for us, and he does it at a high clip all the time. Now, he can't do it for 48 minutes because he's a little older now. He can't do it for a full 82. And the reason why we don't put him in those situations is because we don't want him to burn out. But any given moment, any possession, he can dog anybody on the offense end of the floor, and he can lock you up on the defense end of the floor. And he's shown that, guarding Giannis, guarding Kawhi over the past weekend, guarding Patrick Beverley, or going against the offense, against them too. It was no different when he was on offense going against those guys in the post. He was getting to the basket, getting fouled, and closed the game for us in the stretch. So if it's not that hard or there's no challenge, I don't understand why he ends up with the numbers he ends up with. And I'm seeing him on ESPN beating his chest, screaming, and closing the game. It's not that easy. And maybe for Passer, he feels the way he feels. He's supposed to. As a defender, he's supposed to be prideful, supposed to be proud, but he can get a bucket too. And as hard as he thinks it's not, or it's no challenge, it's not much of a challenge for LeBron to get a bucket.
Did LeBron hear that quote, AB?
Of course, for sure.
Of course.
Has he said anything about it?
I don't think he needs to say anything about it. I mean,
I don't think he acknowledged it at all.
Yeah.
Most of the time, he doesn't acknowledge it.
He heard it though, for sure.
of course, you guys see it in this play. I think he hears everything.
Yeah. No, he hears and sees a lot of stuff.
He sees everything.
Mind you, we did bring it to the group chat. It was sent to the group chat. A lot of guys put in some GIFs and some funny memes.
Can I get one?
No.
One GIF. One GIF. Give us a GIF.
Is it a GIF or a GIF?
It's a GIF. But
One GIF?
it's a GIF.
The guy who made it says it's a GIF. His mama named it GIF. I'm gonna GIF.
It's a GIF. But yeah, AC put a funny GIF in, but we'll leave it.
Okay, well, I'll circle back and maybe you can tell me what the GIF or the GIF is.
It's all off air, right? I can tell me a Shaq story off.
There we go.
Yeah.
There's actually another piece of video, and speaking of guards, Patrick Beverley, Rajon Rondo, he had a great streak in that second half, but he was trending in the first half for about 4 minutes of play. You've played with Rajon Rondo before. How has your relationship developed, and how have you evaluated what he's done so far, and taken in all of the Lakers fans' backlash from time to time?
I mean, that's who Rajon is. He's a competitor, man. He's somebody that I would always want to go to war with. And he says what's on his mind, man. To anybody, it doesn't matter. He just wears his heart on his sleeve, and I think that's what I respect so much about him and appreciate about him. And yeah, man, I don't know what happened, but all I know is that Rajon, he stands up for himself and for his teammates. And if there was something said, please believe Rajon's going to stand up for it.
Well, it was just interesting. There was about a 4 minute stretch in the second quarter of the Clipper game, and he became the trending topic on Twitter that fast. It was just 4 possessions he didn't play well. He had bad possessions. But then he played well in the second half. Just what have you, Danny and Avery too, just how would you say he fits in, especially now with Dion Waiters, on the roster? How do you think that's going to play out in terms of the playmaking needs for the team going forward?
I don't think Doak pays attention or cares about any of that stuff that's being said about him. He knows who he is. He's comfortable in his skin. And he said he wears his heart on his sleeve. And he's such a high IQ guy and studies the game so much and so well that he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing, and that half the people that have their criticisms or opinions have no clue. Like he'll watch the game three times after to see what he saw for not just for himself but for the group. And what was your question again?
I just wanted to know how he fit in. That's all. But also, I also just really want to get to this clip because I really need to understand what happened here. So, I think it was in Memphis. Your fellow point guard, your teammate, was rapping. Do you remember this?
I don't.
Do you want a reminder? I think we have the reminder.
You have a clip?
Yeah, I think we have the clip. No, that's Golden State. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
This was in the Bay. We had an optional shoot around.
What's happening here?
He's having fun, man. So he has fun wherever he goes, and that's the best part about our team, off the court and in the locker room. The guys joke around all the time, have fun, and shoot around. I think there's a game he knew. Well, Brian wasn't playing that game, but he always plays one-on-one. He always gets some extra shots up. He's always the guy in the gym.
Does he always rap before?
No, Dud, he was feeling good that day, and Dud somehow found the mic. I don't know where he found the mic, and then he was talking his on the mic a little bit, and the next he's like, "Oh, coming up, Ray John on the mic," and then they started playing the music, and so Doe started doing his little performance, had a little concert in the arena.
I've never seen him that animated, man.
Nah, Doe's funny, man. I said he doesn't.
He's funny.
He's very secure with himself and comfortable in his own skin. He does not care about what other people think or say, and he fits in perfect. I think he fits fine. I would like to see him be more. He's at times more aggressive in shooting because we know he can shoot the three, and we're a better group, better team, and more effective when he's scoring or when he's shooting. When he hits just only hit one or two jumpers, maybe one or two threes, and then they have to come out on him and start because a lot of teams are disrespecting him and they know he's just quarterbacking, and we need him to do less quarterbacking and looking for pass and trying to go for his own sometimes, which he knows too. But I've seen his switch, and I've seen him turn it on in the Clippers game. I've seen him turn it on in Boston game. I've seen his activity and what he's going to bring for us in the playoffs, and I'm very confident that we'll be and he will be where he needs to be for us to be successful.
I mean, as somebody who's watched the game, was actively watching the game, there's been some other additions to the team: Markieff Morris, Dion Waiters. What is your evaluation of them? And please speak freely here. No. And how they and you guys can respond.
Well, Markieff was the guy we had in Phoenix, so I've known him. We drafted him. He is what he is now. He's just more refined now. But in terms of toughness, interior presence, but also skilled enough to pick a pop big, can put on the floor a little if he catches the elbow. And when you talk about one of the concerns with this team as the year was going on is they're doing great, but depth is a concern, especially as you go to playoffs. What Danny was talking about. You don't want LeBron to feel that burden of having to do too much now. You want him to kind of save something for April, May, and June. And so Markieff gives you some of that physicality. The other thing was, if you look at the bigs, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, they're true fives, right? So they're most comfortable in the painted area. Markieff's a guy who can switch out on a guy and guard out a little bit on the perimeter. And I think with a lot of teams that have small ball lineups, you're going to need someone like Keith that can get out there and defend. And then Dion is, he's had his ups and downs, but this is a dude when he's in his right frame of mind and also his body is healthy, which I believe he is now. Incredible individual scorer and then playmaker. And that was another concern, I think, when you looked at this team. You just need one more guy who could get his own shot and then also maybe create for others. So I think those are two great pickups, and that's the name of the game now in the NBA. It's like you build your team, trade deadline, you try to get some if you can get some, and if not, that buyout market becomes huge because you got vets who can come help you win games.
Yeah, I think those additions should be great. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. AB, I feel like there's so much more I still want to know about you, but we had to dedicate a portion of the show to talking about coronavirus, which is very important. We ask that you guys take care of yourselves, be safe.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.